The earliest civilization in this region, we call them the Minoans, based on a king by the name of Minos, and they're headquartered, as I said in the last slide, on that big island to the south of Greece called Crete. They're around from about 2600 to 1200 BC. So if we're thinking about parallels, this is the time of the Sumerians and the Babylonians. It's the time of the Vedic people. It's the time of the Shang and the Zhou dynasty in China. And these are folks who probably migrate from Anatolia, Asia Minor, modern-day Turkey, and they have a big and expansive commercial sea empire that's based at a capital called Knossos. It was a big city, probably a population of 40,000 people, probably about 250,000 people in the entire civilization. And we know a lot from excavations at the capital. I'm not going to go into that too much, but what I do want to go into is something focused on writing, since writing has been a common theme of our class. We know from excavations that there were three different types of writing that emerged in this area. The first is called Cretan hieroglyphs. It's the example that's in the center here. The second is called Linear A. It's on the left. And the third is called Linear B on the right. The Cretan hieroglyphs, well, hieroglyphs mean pictographic writing. They start around 1650. They continue for about another 200 years. And much like we've seen before, there are 314 different symbols, each represent a specific thing. So we don't need to go into the strengths and weaknesses of this. Obviously great because now they can communicate, but on the flip side, there's a lot of limitations to pictographic type writing. Linear A seems to evolve kind of side by side with this hieroglyphic writing. There are hundreds of different signs. It's thought that they probably represent syllables or sounds, but they haven't been deciphered, much like some of the other things we've seen, like Harappan civilization. And that's particularly frustrating to folks because they seem very similar to what is on the right here, which is Linear B. Linear B is known as Mycenaean, and it is the type of writing that goes from about 1500 to 1200 BC. It's a combination of symbols that represent syllables and ideas. This has been found in not only Knossos, but also in other areas that develop after this civilization is around. And why we're going to focus on the Minoans is really because they kind of bequeath this, and they bequeath some legacies to the people who come after them. So, real quick run through on the Minoans. The textbook does a bit better job covering them in detail, but we want to move on to the next major group called the Mycenaeans.